are you wearing that bracelet seriously? And I'm like, how is a bracelet not serious?
I'm not trying to goof by picking up. I'm trying to pick up chicks by wearing a Ron Paul bracelet, you know?
So he says to me, he's like, how do you get along with people up here? And I was like, I don't. And it was funny because I believe that Como said that if you own guns, read the Bible, or pro-life, there's no place for you in New York.
Get out. Yeah, get the fuck out.
That's really what
he basically said that. I think he said that's definitely, he said something to that effect.
And I was like, whoa, this is.
Meanwhile, he's probably protected by people who have guns. I'm sure, right?
Guns,
I'm sure.
And it's scary. It's scary. I'm morally pro-life, but if you want to have an abortion, go ahead. That's between you and God. All right, but I don't want to pay for it. Just like when people go like, oh, you don't understand. Men are trying to stop my access to birth control, and I'm like, I'm not. Yeah. I just don't want to pay for it. I don't want it to be subsidized. Do you really want me to believe that you're having that much sex you can't afford a 25cent condom? Like, really, is that how much? I
think they're free now too. You could probably get access to free condoms
free in the city
everywhere.
All the time. Yeah.
Not a big deal. You know?
So you're having that much sex that you need someone to pay for your birth control?
I'm not a big fan of the condom, though. I got to be honest with you, Sal. Putting it on, it's a total interrupter.
If you wear a condom, you're awful. Don't wear condoms. If you're sleeping with somebody, you need to,
I want to promote safe sex. Right. Don't get me wrong.
Right. You want to know what your statistics of getting AIDS are? If you're if you're a heterosexual white male, you know what your statistics?
It's got to be under 5%.
It's like 1%.
I was going to say yes. Unless you're having sex with crackhead, needle-using transvestites, right. Then you might be raising it up a little bit.
Like zero,
you know. As far as the condoms and the abortion, you think about abortion, it is killing. You're killing a life. So I'm
so glad you brought this up.
I am not exactly. I have to tell you, when I was younger, I was very staunchly pro-choice.
Me too.
Very angry at the people who would, how dare you try to obstruct a woman's right to, whatever.
I was on your side.
And then I thought about it after a while, and actually, personally, not to get too personal, but I had a couple of girlfriends who had the problem. We had to get an abortion. So, I definitely speak from experience. It's not a pleasant experience. It's not something you want to have done. And it is a life, so when you think about it, is it right or wrong? I don't know, man. It seems pretty bad. We're killing babies.
This girl I used to sleep with is proud of her abortion.
I know girls like that too. They have. How many has she had?
She said one.
Okay.
So, and then I'll give you.
Does she want to get pregnant again by any chance? Or we could, as long as she's going to abort, we can sign something before.
Right. She's like, if you're not going to hold me responsible.
How is she proud of that though?
I know. She was like, I've had an abortion. She's like, are you judging me? And I'm like, no. She's like, I'm glad I had an abortion.
I'm not judging anybody having it. It's a terrible thing.
I think it's a bad thing. But I want nothing to do with it. So she's like, so if I got pregnant with your kid and I had an abortion, you'd be mad at me? I was like, I wouldn't be thrilled. I wouldn't endorse it.
Would you put the kid up for adoption?
What? I would make absolute changes in my life to try to support the kid.
Oh, okay, so you would have the kid and keep the kid.
Of course.
Good for you, Sal.
Of course.
Good for you.
Yeah.
But bigger man than me. I would definitely flee that whole scene.
I would definitely stick by it. But it's also, I had a coworker when I lived and worked in the city, and one night it was let's go get drinks. Right? She had a boyfriend. There was nothing happening, so we're just hanging out doing coke.
Think? No, hanging out doing what?
Coke.
No, nothing's gonna happen now. Yeah. No, it'll be all right.
Nothing did happen, but she knew I was pro-life, and she started crying, and she's like, you're judging me for having an abortion, and she's like, and it's my right to have an abortion. I'm like, I'm not judging you, I'm pro-life. And she's like, and she's breaking down, she's like, I didn't even want to have it, my boyfriend made me have it, I didn't want to have an abortion. I'm like, so why are you mad at me? I don't understand why you're taking I'm fine with you having an abortion, that's up to you, that's between
not
you
an easy thing to do, not an easy thing.
But you can see how emotionally ruined.
Now, I don't want to go so far as to say that women should be penalized or should be thrown in jail for having an abortion. And I know I'm smart enough to know that if it were illegal to have abortions...
Oh, it would just be back alley.
It would be back alley, and it would be done by... Or rich people would be able to get it through their doctors. So I know that there'd be people who would... I don't want to make it illegal. I just don't want to make it so easy they could go into a drive-thru and have an abortion.
I don't want a taxpayer subsidized.
And there you go. Exactly.
I don't want a taxpayer subsidized. I don't want something that's a for-profit abortion clinic either. But I mean, that's the free market,
Right.
And it's scary because it wrestles with me where it's like I don't like it, but if they're gonna operate, then they have to be for-profit. But then I feel like when you allow something like that, you create a merchant of death. Your job as a business, right, is now to sell death, and then your job is to grow your business.
It's for profit.
So now you're pushing abortion harder and harder.
Not good.
So it's such a terrible thing where it's like I would love for it to not be around, but it's an evil that's in the world right now.
But the globalists want us to keep abortion because they want population control,
right.
And that's one way to have population
Agenda
control.
21 nonsense.
You know, I mean,
the UN is saying, people go like, oh, how can you not be for universal birth control when the UN says that birth control is a right? And I'm like, do you really trust the UN? Do you really trust one government?
I don't.
No, and it was like
that's one thing Trump would like to do, right? Possibly get out of the UN.
I'm really upset that.
Why is that a bad thing? And if we got out of the UN, you think if somebody, God forbid, invaded our country, you don't think anybody would help us? Or if somebody invaded England because they got out of the Union, you think nobody's going to help England?
I'll tell you what, we're already invaded.
Exactly.
We're fighting asymmetrical warfare against ISIS.
It's bullshit, right? It's ridiculous.
It's asymmetrical warfare.
And this is the holy month of Ramadan Dinglang, or it's the end of it, I think, right? Ramen and noodles or something?
Something, shrimp ramen.
It's like every week now we have an ISIS radical, jihadist type of attack. Now we had Istanbul, right, in Turkey, the airport there, always attacking soft targets. What's happening here,
We
Sal?
know what the enemy looks like. We know what their background is. We weren't so
These people weren't brown, though. It was the week before, right?
Muslim.
I'm losing count of my ISIS attacks.
I don't know.
It was the week before, but it was a Czech guy from Bosnia or something.
Let's say ISIS is at war with the world.
No, seriously, this is really bad. So it was Orlando, and I know Istanbul was the other day. I'm missing one in between.
I think there's one in Bangladesh. There's a Bangladesh where there was a hostage situation.
Right. That was Bangladesh, and then Istanbul was Turkey. Okay, I'm sorry. I get them confused.
You want to know why? You want to know why you don't see a lot of ISIS attacks in Russia?
Why?
Okay, so I don't know if you know. I know you're old enough to remember this. I'm not, but I had to do my research on this. There was a movie theater that I remember that these Islamic
in the 90s
went in there in the 90s, and they held people hostage.
Women, children. It was horrible.
You know how they got this hostage situation?
They just the Russians don't mess around. They just went in there and tear gassed them.
No, they went and found these people's families, right?
Oh,
and they found the father of one of them,
Russian,
and cut off the genitals and sent it into.
Wonderful. That's always the way. Okay, you got me. I'm done. I'm out of here.
We have to do this. This is.
They don't mess around.
No, they don't. They don't, and that's how we should treat terrorists.
Trump is talking about bringing back waterboarding.
My thing with torture is that if you waterboard me, right, for 5 seconds, I'll tell you whatever you need to know.
I'm going to admit to killing JFK at this point, So the CIA says it doesn't work, so I'm a little concerned when he starts talking like that, but I do like the fact that he says that we need to talk to other people, let's talk to Russia, let's talk to Iran. Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm crazy, let's talk to North Korea if we can. Why not? We need all the help we can get here, right?
I don't know. North Korea.
And how much can you talk to them anyway?
I would like to.
How would you get in touch with them?
I would like to stop doing business with countries that threaten America. Now, see,
a lot of countries out there, though.
People talk about how the Vietnam War and all that stuff were unjust wars, but when you go and look back at it, it's we were stopping the spread of communism.
Yes,
and
the domino effect.
It actually is a huge threat to capitalism, because what was China? A communist country. They were literally using slave labor to compete against America. You can't fight slave labor.
Well, that's the global economy now.
That's not capitalism, and we're doing business with non-capitalist countries, and I think we need to stop that.
Well, either that, or like Trump says, let's bring back the tariffs. These tariffs are in place.
And who do we have to thank for getting rid of the tariff with China?
Well, I think who did Reagan get rid of the tariffs?
No.
Bill Clinton?
Bill Clinton.
I was going to say.
It all goes back to, he rapes women and the economy.
And he kills the tariff. Yes, that's not good. He's raping the Statue of Liberty, might as well, Now, if they do away with tariffs, does that mean my iPhone is going to be like $1,000 now, or if I buy a charger for my iPhone from China now, all of a sudden it's going to be like $70?
No, well, what happens is this: the free market will find a way. All right, they will.
You think?
I think so.
I hope so.
I think so, and this is what needs to happen. The free market, you have to let the free market work.
It might be a little painful at first.
I think so.
Might be painful at first.
It will absolutely be painful.
But I think in the long run, we're better off.
Are we going to slowly pull the Band-Aid off, or are we just going to rip it off?
It's like when you're living at home with your parents before you move out. It's like they give you enough rope to hang yourself. What do you do?
Are we So hold on. Let's go back to our homeboy Ron Paul real quick.
Yes, Mr. Paul.
He's not coming out for Trump. I respect everything he says, but you know what? He's starting to get a little close to the end zone, and I feel like I need to start calling his plays.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that Trump Bitch slapped Rand Paul a few times during those debates. I mean, it was not fun at all to watch that.
Rand Paul definitely.
He's a little more corporate than his dad.
Yeah, and
right.
See, this would have been an amazing year for Ron Paul to run, but I think
about it. What is he, 80 years old though?
I think he still would have. I think he would have done great in the election.
He always, the few times he ran in 2004, right? Didn't he run in 2004 and in 2008? And he always brought a lot to the table, especially to the debates. Mm-hmm. And a lot of things he talked about made sense. But the media, once again, portrayed him to be a little out there. He's wacky. You're crazy if you like him. And meanwhile, a lot of his ideas were very mainstream. I mean, a lot of things he was talking about. I'm sure many people shared his views, but again, if you're a couch potato and you are injected with that almost like heroin into your veins, watching MSNBC or CNN or any of those other major media outlets, you're going to believe what they tell you. And
how crazy is it? How crazy the left, the regressive left, has gone so far. The regressive left has gone so far that Bill Maher is starting to come to the side of conservatives. Like he is against Islam.
Yeah,
it's crazy to see.
Well, he hates religion. Period.
Yeah, I know, but it's crazy to just see someone so far to the left. It's like, no, these guys are a threat.
Well, how about this guy? How about George Will leaving the Republican Party? Did you see that this week?
No.
George Will defected. I mean, this is like the whole month has been in the month of defections. You had England defecting from the EU. You have George Will defecting from the Republicans. I mean, where's he going to go?
Look, when these Republicans, it's like, who are we voting for? Who's your candidate? Show us this magical candidate that you have that you're now backing. Was it Bernie Sanders? Is it Clinton? Because you can't vote for Bernie Sanders. So who are we back?
I love how Trump always tries to get the Sanders voters, though. Every time he comes out now and gives a speech, he always compares his trade policies to this, which is smart. If you think about it, it's smart on his part, because if you can get some of those Sanders, he's going to need some of them. I don't know if he can get maybe 5%, 10%, mm-hmm.
Well, who's Hillary's voting bloc? Hillary's voting bloc are women. Right,
people who voted for Obama.
People who voted, but I don't know. I think
women,
a lot of people are upset at
Obama
now. So we have women, right? I see a lot of
African Americans.
I see a lot of American Trump supporters, right? I mean,
white men.
I see a lot of, but I also see a lot of Hispanics that became Americans, right? And
you do see it, but you don't see it on TV. Right. You don't see that. You won't believe it.
The ones you always see out there that hate Trump are the ones that are probably here illegally, so they can't vote. So their vote doesn't matter anyway.
Right. They're not going to vote anyway.
I believe I've said that Hillary's voting base are women and gays and friends of gays.
Let's be honest, Sal. If you're if you're a guy and you're on a date, like a first date, and you start talking about Hillary Clinton, does that guarantee you at least a hand job at the end of the night, or no?
It depends. I've actually been going on dates with conservative girls, and then I'm super conservative, and they don't put out.
I was just saying, I would think that they're going to put out a little bit more.
No, they don't put out. No. It's these loose moral women that put out.
So you're telling me a liberal girl is going to put out more than a conservative woman?
Yeah, but women are supposed to be liberal. Like, do you think...
you think?
I think so. I think that's why they weren't allowed to vote for a really long time. I think we need to bring that back. But no, they're supposed to be this feel-goody type of thing. They're not like you have to look at why we evolved this way. Men were always interested in politics more than women because men have the most to lose. When the ruling class decides to go to war, women get to stay home and protect the eggs. Men have way more to lose in politics, which is why women weren't given the right to vote. And then as soon as you look at any country that has given women the right to vote, that's when you start getting things like welfare and all these social programs, and the government starts getting more power. Now women are talking about banning words. They want to ban hate speech. What the fuck is hate speech? What the fuck is freedom of speech supposed to protect?
You're going to trigger people if you start talking like that.
Does it go to...
No triggering.
No, does my freedom of speech go like, does it give you the right to be like, I like vodka? Like, is that what it's supposed to protect?
Are you allowed to say vodka?
Yeah, I think you can.
I like brown bags. I can't say the word brown.
Remember the whole campaign? They were trying to ban the word bossy.
A lot of banning. You won't get any words banned here on the Sal Cipolla Show with Mark Sack. I am Mark Sack. That is Sal Cipolla across the way from me here. And we're doing a little podcast. We do this every Saturday night, I believe, right, Sal?
Every Saturday night or whenever else we can fit it in.
Whenever we fit it in. And unfiltered news for people who don't like filters.
I don't like filters or condoms.
Yes.
I only like filters on my
The whole
cigarettes.
thing of the condom is that, I mean, like, if you're a guy, I don't want to get too personal here, Sal, but if you have a certain window to keep that boner, if you know what I mean,
Right.
the last thing you want to be doing is fumbling for a condom to put on it. You know, it kind of
Trust me,
breaks the action, you know?
I'm with you. Between coke